Bow your heads. I'm so grateful for the bountiful blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We're grateful for the opportunity that you give for us to serve this county. We ask that as we shall meet this morning, that you will lead and guide all that we shall say and do, that it will be for the betterment of every citizen and pleasing in your sight. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, DJ. This meeting was called, as either Kevin or probably Susan will explain in just a minute. We have an opportunity to do something different in regard to insurance for our retirees. And we felt like we could have waited until the November meeting, but it would help all parties if we could get this approved today, so that printing of material and other meetings could be set up and established. So we went ahead and did that. The second item on the agenda has to do with South Scotland School. We've been asked by the superintendent and by the school board what intention we may have toward that piece of property. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin or Susan, whoever I need to direct this to.
Good morning, everyone, and I would like to introduce you to John Taylor. He's from CLC Financial in Lumberton, and his agency is the one that we use to enroll our retirees in the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Medicare supplemental plans. And he brought a proposal to us. He's brought this proposal to us before, but the one he brought just most recently is one that we could not pass up. So I'm going to just turn it over to John and let him explain the plan and the reason for this meeting. I hope we can get this approved.
Thank you. Thank you. We've been working with the county for years, and several of the retirees had plans J, they got plans F, they got plan G. A lot of them are here in North Carolina. Some of them have moved out of state. And with the old supplement plans, they get more expensive each year with age. And so we've been looking at trying to transition over to the new Medicare Advantage type plans for these employees for the past 2 or 3 years, but it just hasn't been working. It was just a little bit too complicated. Well, Blue Cross this year designed a new program. They have a new manager up there, and they worked up a proposal for Scotland County so that we could transition everybody on these old plans into one new plan. And it's a lot better plan. First of all, it acts just like a Medicare supplement policy. There's no deductibles. There's no co-pays. Those that have plan G, they have to spend $230 each year before their benefit begins. This plan, no deductible. It's 100% doctor visits, hospital visits, those types of treatments, not drugs, but MRIs, things of that nature. It includes a drug plan, and that was another problem that we have. Some of the employees that lived out of state, retired people lived out of state, we would have to get a drug program that was approved in the state they're in and look for that. And they have donut holes. Any of you that are on Medicare, you know what the donut hole if you have a lot of expenses. Well, this plan eliminates the donut hole. So there's no donut hole with this plan. It's 100% plan for the doctors and medicals. The co-pays for the drug benefits are very similar to what they have. The tier 2 drug benefit is $10. What they have now is $6. So there's a $4 increase with tier 2 drugs. But for tier 3 and tier 4 drugs, they're significantly lower co-pays. That's where your expensive medications are. And the fact that they totally eliminate the donut hole. And Blue Cross has agreed to make this transition electronically. Everybody that's on the plan, they'll electronically enroll them into the new plan. This plan will save the county about $85,000 a year in premium. And so I just kind of wanted to go over that. The old plan that you have now, Medicare does not cover you for foreign travel. So any of folks that retire and go on cruises or go to Europe or whatever, Medicare does not cover you for that. The supplements of the old plan did have like a $50,000 benefit, one time, lifetime, after a deductible of $250. This plan here has no deductible, covers you up to $100,000 for foreign travel. Again, no donut hole. It has gym memberships. It pays up to $150 for a pair of glasses. Has free vision exams. And they have this new personal emergency response system. You know, the thing you wear around your neck, I fall and I can't get up, that's also furnished at no expense to the retirees. So there's a lot of benefits that have been added, a reduction in cost, and so that's why we're presenting this to the board. Any comments or questions?
But my understanding of this is the Medicare Advantage program.
It is,
It's a PPO, not
Yes.
an HMO.
yes.
So currently, they have Medicare
Yes,
and they have a supplement.
yes, and a separate Part D. It's
for
like
yeah.
three.
So this rolls it all into one,
Yes.
with the exception of dental in this program, right?
Correct.
Now, what does this cost us per, because I know there's Blue Cross Blue Shield Advantage plans out there that are zero cost over and above your Medicare that they take out of your.
This is $234 a person, but the individual plans that you're talking about do not have a zero donut hole for the medications.
Right.
This one does.
And they have deductibles and, out-of-pocket max, and it's like a group plan, some of those are.
Right.
Because the member would have a cost. With this, it's 100%.
There's no individual plan out there that pays 100%.
Right.
Now,
This is under a group plan as opposed to individual.
the reason this does is because a lot of your folks already have that 100% benefit under J and F. They don't pay anything when they go to a doctor or have medical care. So you can't just move them to or you could, but it would be hard on them to move them to an Advantage plan that they have to pay $300 and some a day if they go to a doctor. They got to out of pocket. A lot of those plans you're talking about, the out of pocket's around $6,000, $4,000. This one has no out of pocket.
Yeah. Did you ever get to your question?
Well, I mean, it sounds to me like the question was what the cost was. What are we paying now individually for whatever they have?
The premiums are different because we have different groups with, the older plan Fs. They are locked in and those premiums are getting more expensive. And the others are plan Fs attained age. And as the plan design changed, who we enrolled it in. So we have like a smorgasbord of different premiums.
An average of probably $300.
That's what I'm saying.
But the savings is substantial, putting everybody under one plan.
To me, it just still seems high because I know there's Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicare Advantage programs that are out there that are either zero or $49. That's the one my parents have.
And we have some people on those plans that were disabled
Right.
and had Medicare. We have them on those plans, but their problems is they got donut holes.
I
And,
don't know what a donut hole is.
okay.
It's a coverage gap.
With the-
Once you meet, do you have that? Once you meet a certain amount of, total cost in drug cost, you go through the coverage gap, which is very, very limited coverage. But we had in the enhanced plan, we enroll our retirees in the MedSup and the Part D plans. And those two premiums are more than what this one premium is.
So are we talking about, is this a forced change to everybody? Or in other words, this is what you're gonna be on now
Yes.
regardless? And what if they say no
We would continue them on their plan,
on their
is
own?
what I understand. We
On
would
their
just
own.
continue,
Yeah.
yeah, which is 1, 2, and 3.
So it is optional. Not preferred.
We're going to gently encourage everyone to enroll. It's gonna be an electronic enrollment. But just like when we have a group health plan change, everybody goes to the new plan. And see, the county is covering these retirees at no cost. So I feel like this is a good business decision as well as benefit to the retiree to move the retirees to this plan.
So for, not to cut you off, Jim, but so for retirees, we pay all of their they don't pay.
Right, they don't pay anything towards their cost.
So this plan also, if you'll notice, in or out of network pays 100%. There'd be no reason for someone not to want to move to it because
Yeah.
it's 100%. And it doesn't matter where you live. So, and you have better, your drug benefits, the co-pays are way lower. And there's, the donut hole is where you have a co-pay until you and the insurance company have spent about $4,000 on medication. Then you go into a gap where that you're paying 25% or more of the cost of the medicine yourself. And you stay there until the total expenses go to $7,000, $8,000. Well, for people that are retired and that are very sickly, this cost is really expensive. This plan totally eliminates that. They have a copay, period. Until their total bills hit 7,000, then their coverage drops to 5% of their costs. So it's eliminated that coverage gap or donut hole. Talk to anyone over 65 if they know what the donut hole is, and they do, and they
That's the
don't like
question
it.
I want to know. It's probably a very dumb question. Now, we're saying Medicare Advantage, but all of them have to be 62 or over, right?
65.
65 or over.
Gotta be on Medicare.
Medicare, okay, that's what I was thinking it would have to be. So what part of the retiree, you can retire at 50-some years old, I did.
They're on our group. If they are eligible for continued benefits, they stay on our group until they turn
Okay,
65.
so we're really talking about 65 or over.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And your,
And you just
and that
say,
benefit has been amended.
Yes, to be eligible, it
Yes.
depends on your hire date.
Yeah, it depends on your retirement. I'm a county retiree. I retired 10 years ago. I trust Susan. She says it's better. That's fine with me. But I don't know if I have to come in A to Z. I just know that I give my cards to people. And I had very, very significant claims on my health insurance this year. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Anyway, I never got a bill. I mean, the only thing I pay for are the co-pays on my drugs, and it's really small. So I can't imagine anything better than that.
The better part is that the coverage gap on the Part D plan, some retirees never get there. But we do have retirees that are on, especially if they're diabetic.
Yeah.
I had at least 2 or 3 retirees that effective August or September, they were calling me from the pharmacy because what happened with my plan? And then between me and the pharmacist, I realized they're in their coverage gap. So their medicines become much more expensive in that coverage gap. For those that don't take a lot of medication, it doesn't affect them, so they really don't even know what that coverage gap is. But that's the real benefit, is that there is no coverage gap or donut hole at this point.
How many retirees is the county paying for?
For the Medicare, it's 101 retirees.
And that number is gonna go down because that benefit of offering
Right.
health insurance to retirees has been amended from what I experienced retiring 10 years ago.
Question, as I was said the other day, this plan we're talking about now will be good for at least 2 years,
Yes, the rates,
The rates.
the rate.
we lock them in for 2 years, so there's, you don't have to worry about the
But
rates.
is that based on all 101 changing, or what is it? 50% side change? But you know, some of those folks are at an age, they don't like change, whether it's better or worse. They just don't want to change, you know, they're scared to do that.
Well, I have at least 2 in assisted living, so I will be talking to their caregivers
Right.
and let them know. I'm hopeful we can get about 85 to 90% because they won't have to do enrollment forms.
Right.
Blue Cross already has all their information. And again, just like Carol is a retiree, they will see no difference. It'll still be $0.
You gonna do it?
This,
Are you gonna do it?
I trust Susan. I mean, I can't have better health insurance than I have right now. And when I tell people what I have, they look at me like, well, that's not possible. People don't have that.
well, here's where the savings come in. It isn't that Blue Cross is cutting the benefit.
Right.
They're not. With these programs, the government help pays the premium. And that takes you guys off the hook. That's the difference. That's where the savings is. It isn't that you're getting a cut back, lower benefit plan. For instance, you mentioned the individual Medicare Advantage plans. With those plans, if you had a stroke and had to go to a skilled nursing home, with most of those plans, you're gonna have to pay out of pocket $200 a day for some of those benefits, and they gotta be in network and all that. This plan, no, it pays 100% in network or out
For how long?
for 100 days, just like
Just like
the plan you have now. If you've got J or F or G, but if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you gotta pay $200 a day at least for 40 days.
For 40 days.
Yep, and that's $8,000. That's not true with this. This is, there's no comparison between this plan and we have both. We've written a lot of the disabled folks here on that plan. And I know they hurt from it, but that's all we could do. We can move them to this plan. So those folks will get a better plan too.
Much better.
What will the retiree have to do to switch?
Nothing.
So with
They'll
this,
have to tell somebody, I mean, they
They'll
got,
have to tell a lot of people.
well, they're gonna have to say, switch me, right? I mean,
Susan, it's my understanding, is gonna send out a memo.
Yeah, I'm
and say,
sending a
"We're
letter out
changing-
today if it's approved.
We're
Let him
changing
know.
plans and Blue Cross is gonna change them. And they're not gonna get less benefit. If anything, they'll have more benefit.
Every provider that has our insurance information, the retiree, it'll be their responsibility to make that change with them.
Ask that again.
Okay, I change over. In January, I go and have an X-ray at Scotland Memorial. The only thing they have on me is my old plan, so I
You
have
need to show your new card.
I gotta show the new
Show the
stuff.
new card.
And see, with this, you would show your Medicare card and your MedSup card. And then when you go to the pharmacy, you would have a third card that you would show.
Well, that's what I have now,
Yeah, with this one, you have one card.
one card.
You don't even have to show your Medicare card anymore.
It's basically like what people who retire without the county benefit pick a plan and sign up. The only difference is they pay that premium. The retiree is not paying the premium. That's the
Right.
benefit of retirement.
well, some of them don't pay a premium. Some of those, plans don't have a premium.
Right, I know that.
But
They don't
there's
cover-
cost involved in those
Well,
things.
yeah, but it's costing.
They're not getting
What-
the coverage that,
Yeah. But, I mean, there's some of them, it's $50 or whatever, I think that's the one my parents are on, which covers pretty much everything here. It's not a PPO, it's an HMO, but it includes dental with it as well. But there is, there's always, we strive to cover everything 100%, I don't think we're gonna get there, but, I ain't opposed to it, I'm just wondering how many people is gonna wanna switch.
that's
to
what
it.
I was getting ready to ask.
But here's where I'm coming from, just like our group, what I said before. When the county makes a business decision to change the group health plan, they don't have a choice. This is Scotland County's health plan. We need to get you enrolled.
But is that the way we need to make this?
So,
is
Well, it's gonna be.
non-man, or make it mandatory rather than optional?
Well, it's
Because-
pretty much going to be
Pretty
gently
much.
encouraging.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't guarantee it.
But I'm gonna
So-
say there may be one or two, I'm not saying 50%, I'm saying we might have one or two outliers that they may be in South Carolina, because Blue Cross can do this electronically. But I think we have an Alabama Part D plan. So, I'm having to contact all these retirees. The wonderful thing about the administration side is that we can get everybody on one plan. We won't have all these outliers.
But you may not get everybody.
well, with this plan.
That's a possibility.
That's my question here.
But see, if we don't, it is no
My understanding,
foul,
No, but
because
my-
they're still covered under their old plan.
My question, to cut out all the other, is do we, and I guess this is to everybody, do we force them to make that change,
That's what I was gonna.
or do we leave it off?
Well, I think you asked that question before, and I think the problem was, Ms. Susan, you responded, if they don't want to, then we won't, then they'll stay on the old plan. And it's either, or they will or they won't.
I would say Scotland County is changing plans, probably the ones we just cannot, if Blue Cross can't get them on, or we can't get up with them, they will remain in the plan that they're in, is pretty much my answer to that
Blue
question.
Cross,
Because we pay all of the premiums for this.
Blue Cross has priced this on, everyone moving over, and they're gonna do it electronically.
No, I get all that. I'm trying to come to the point of, do we force it and just say, you gotta do it? Or, I mean, can we do that? Number one.
Yes.
And-
Well, we're paying all the
and then
premiums.
Should we do that?
This will be what is offered by the county.
Right.
Unless someone actively says, I do not want to change. And then we'd have to figure that out.
And there's
But-
somebody gonna do that. I mean.
But if they do nothing, they're going to be changed. And effectively, they're gonna get a new insurance card. They're gonna get new insurance cards in January anyway, so, this does not require the employee to do anything.
I know that, I'm just, some of the age of these folks is gonna be confusing and they don't
And I
like
get that.
change.
But I have a
Just
good
like when
report.
DSS changed the
I have a good
Medicaid to
report with them.
like a Medicaid advantage,
But
there was a
this is-
lot of confused people out there.
But this is definitely a benefit. It's better for the retirees.
Yeah,
And we're going to save as a county about 85.
oh, I agree with it, I'm just, do we need to force it or do we need to?
We call that a no-brainer.
We got,
If you look at the brochure that was handed, or the little bullet points that was handed, the second thing on here says, the plan offers zero co-insurance, zero co-pays, both in and out of network, and travels with you across state lines. The passive PPO looks, feels like a supplement with no network restrictions or co-pays, which equals little or no difference. But that, so that is a, and you can't get that with an individual policy like you had brought
But
up.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, I'm just going back to, do we force it or do we leave it off? And
Can I answer it this way? It's all in how you present the
I
message.
know.
Because I can go in a meeting and say, okay, I remember when we did mandatory direct deposit, and if we had tomatoes in the room, they would have thrown them all over me. When you say mandatory, the hairs start sticking up on the back of their necks. So I think it's all in the message in which we present this to them.
I really don't think this is a problem. But there's that, one, and we're still the old plan, it's not gonna be enough money to be concerned about.
Yeah, I'd say we might have 2 or 3 outliers, and that's probably just because I couldn't contact them or something.
But even if,
But if you couldn't contact them,
they're
or
still
the
switched
county, they're
over.
gonna be switched.
Yes,
I'm just thinking about the out of state.
they're gonna be switched.
I mean,
Okay, any other questions of John?
I'm just gonna chime in with what Tim was saying, because I was on the same wavelength. If I wasn't sitting here in my role, and I was just out there being a retiree, and I got this message, my thought would be, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it, because what I have is perfect. And I would be afraid that you can't make it better. I understand the savings to the county piece, and so I kind of agree with Tim that I'm really afraid you're gonna have more than just, and I trust your relationship with our retirees. And I am skeptical that only just 2 or 3 might not sign in. because
But isn't
if you
this
start-
a savings for the
It's not a
retiree?
savings for the retiree.
Yeah, it is if you're.
It is if you have medicines that can possibly get you in the donut hole.
Okay. Well, I have-
Or any medicines, really, all except tier 2, you're gonna pay a lot less for your medication.
Right.
You got-
The copays are less.
So I just have not reached that point in my
Well,
medication.
there was nothing, when we had the conversation, whenever it was, last week or before, is there, what's the potential negative financially to any of the retirees that might switch?
I asked him, okay, where's the shoe gonna drop? Because this is too good to be true. Because he's brought these to me before and I'm going, no, there's a cost here and my retirees already do not have a cost. I'm not changing. At least 3 times.
Yeah.
So when he brought this to me, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something here. But I haven't found it.
And that's why we brought.
And I was looking, okay, where's the shoe gonna drop?
That's why we brought the head of the Blue Cross department here with us when we met the other
Right,
day.
and he seemed to be pretty sharp, and I think this plan may have come with him from another state.
Exactly, exactly.
Would it help if we talked about this is made possible by a supplement from the federal government? And it's not just something that Blue Cross Blue Shield came up with to mix and match and switch. There's a reason for this offer.
Well,
Well,
that'd
he's
be in
gonna
her
be-
messaging, you know,
Mhm.
it's like. she
But see,
said.
we're gonna bring them into an informational meeting. So we're gonna have a meeting with these
But is
retirees.
everybody in here on board with that?
I
Question
think
I
it's
just
wonderful.
But we're gonna send letters, we're gonna invite them to an informational meeting. We're not just gonna send them a letter and say, hey, we're changing. We're going to allow them to come so that they may ask questions and get the information straight from Mr. Taylor.
Okay, my question is, thank you, that's the question. But is everyone in here on board with that little caveat there? Why this can be offered? Will someone state that, restate it? I'm thinking someone may be a little bit. modest.
Basically, it wasn't available until now.
It wasn't available because of. I
Blue
was
Cross,
told
didn't-
you.
Blue Cross didn't have the design that they have now, that like he mentioned, when the guy came here from Pennsylvania, their Blue Cross plan, he brought a lot of this with him.
Okay, but I thought I heard, I don't know if you or the gentleman, I'm saying, I don't recall which one was John and which one.
I'm John.
You, John, okay.
The other one was Bill.
That was Bill. But you or Bill mentioned that the federal government had subsidized insurance companies,
That's correct.
and that's how this can be
That's
offered.
exactly correct.
Okay, so I'm saying, is everybody in here aware that this is just not what we've always been accustomed to, is the plan being, you take away from this and add to this one, and it end up being the same thing. It's just mix and match, but there's no real savings. This is a real saving
It is.
for both the policyholder and the county.
And I think it has something to do with the star rating has increased,
Yeah,
right?
Blue Cross,
And that
is-
increases the subsidy.
the higher the star rating, the more money the government gives to the company. And Blue Cross is now, they hired the first person from CMS to come head this up at Blue Cross. And they're a 4.5 star now, soon to be 5 star. But give you an example, a tier 3 drug with most plans, $37 to $40. This plan here is $15. Tier 4 plan with these individual plans is a 45% benefit. You pay 45% of the cost. With this plan, you pay $30. So instead of 40, you paying 45% of the cost of the medicine, and a tier 4 is a higher medicine, you're locked in at $30. This is so much better that no one's gonna complain when they go get their medication. The only one that may complain if someone has a tier 2 that they were paying $6, they're gonna pay $10 for.
But our president is, made us proposed to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. So, that in itself is gonna be a great help also, right?
That will help keep it, yeah.
If I were not looking at the people presenting in the flesh, if someone called me on the phone and said the same thing, I would be skeptical.
That's what I was asking him. It's like, okay, where's the,
Well, that,
Yeah, where's the
Where's-
that's why we brought the Blue Cross guy. It's
Yeah.
because.
because I was skeptical.
Susan kept
Mhm.
asking, where's the foot or the shoe gonna drop? And I said, no, it's not gonna drop. These plans, this is our third year or fourth year, third year we've been talking about this change.
At least that.
And it just, they didn't have the program that would really benefit everybody. When Bill came in, and he's heading up Blue Cross and this division. These changes were made. They even came with a 2-year rate lock. That was never offered before. And I think that's significant. We have several of these other groups on the books that this first time they've offered a 2-year rate lock. So I'm sure there's other groups that we have, as they renew, they'll be offering some of the same things. But there's no negative that I know, that I'm aware of, or that Blue Cross has made me aware of, or that Bill conveyed to y'all. And he's even put it in writing here, as far as a comparison.
Well, it's an old saying, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
John, a couple of things that I
For
remember.
the retirees, from what I'm hearing, although we could, I guess as a board, make that decision. So we gain, and if anyone doesn't want to change, that's their decision.
Except for they may
Well,
not
keeping in
change.
mind, this rate was based on everybody coming over.
Well, that's why I think if you're gonna do it, then you gotta make it.
We gotta do it.
But do
I
you
mean-
think, you know your people, do you think
And I was gonna say
anybody,
that.
do you think anybody in your group would fight this and not want to be a part of it?
I have a very good rapport with my retirees. In fact, people will say I fight really hard for my retirees. If they have questions, I'm gonna try to get them to this meeting. If they can't make it to the meeting, I'm gonna make an appointment with them in my office and talk to them about it. So-
It's not gonna be difficult to tell a person, the retirees who we are paying for it. We are paying for it, whatever it is, what, we're paying for it now 100% for those disabled retirees. And we're gonna do the same going forward.
Right.
So you can't lose, there's nothing for you to lose.
Well, can I give you an example? Because we have offered them what Blue Cross offers. It used to be Plan F, then it changed to it used to be Plan J, then it changed to Plan F, then it would change to Plan F, attained age, then it changed to Plan G. So whatever is offered at the point you retire is what they got. So I'm seeing this in the same vein, is that this is gonna be the plan that the county offers. But the only difference is, it's not just offered to new retirees, which is what I asked John, why can't we do that? But in order to get this rate, we had to bring all the current retirees in.
Okay, that makes sense.
I hope that helps.
Well, I'm satisfied, Susan, that this is gonna work out, and I feel certain that everybody's gonna come into this. I mean,
Well, I
how can
promise
you
you-
not do it? How can you not?
I promise you, if I didn't think it was better, I would not even be approaching you with this.
See, I'm in the hole now, okay? See,
Did I help you?
I know about this. I just went to the dentist. Well, we can't do anything until after the first of the year, because for the rest of the year, your insurance don't pay nothing. You see what I'm talking about? So you can get to that hole in October, September, October, and you were in a hole if you have a real procedure that needs to be done. So retirees, I'm one. You don't want the donut hole. You don't want to fall in the hole. You don't want a plan to push you in the hole.
No, any other discussion, any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, move forward on this new plan offer, to retirees.
I'm second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Are we gonna say mandatory or?
I don't think we should say anything, because that gives them a choice. I think we should let, go like, like, it's placed in front of them, and it's a plan, and you're retiring. So I don't think.
And we pay for it.
Yeah, we paying for it. I don't think-
But if you don't specify mandatory or optional, then, I mean, it's all in the messaging, I agree, but I mean, my concern is that 60% take it or 70% take it, then how does that affect the premium? Because if they base the premium on 101, then
And you don't have to advertise it as mandatory, because sometimes people are just reluctant when you say mandatory. But I think as a board, we need to give Ms. Susan direction that it is mandatory, even if you don't use that word when you promote it.
Maybe the
But she
word
needs
is,
to know.
this is
It's
our,
my understanding that if you do your marketing as you intend to, and somebody said, I just don't want to change, you will allow that person to stay on their current plan.
No,
We're changing.
Okay.
I mean, if this passes, we're changing.
So
The
they're saying
board
it's
does not
mandatory.
need to say mandatory.
well, and you don't have to use the word mandatory, you say,
Right,
this is our 2023 plan.
Yeah,
Right.
don't use the
Right.
word
This is-
mandatory.
I think that's what the motion
this is a
just did.
cost-saving plan for you. This is a
If
cost-saving
you-
plan.
I made a statement, I want to make sure that the motion and the second basically is making that statement, is we are converting our retirees to this new.
To this new plan.
We're
Right.
we're not putting it mandatory, but we're taking the optional part out.
And could we not?
Change the plan?
We're just changing.
And could
We
we not
have the
say?
right to do that.
Right, Mr. Chairman, and could we not say, we're doing this because it is definitely a cost saving for you. It's an improvement on what you have now.
Well, I think.
At no cost to you. It's being improved and it still doesn't cost you anything.
Well, I think she's gonna say that anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I don't know if I.
we know
can
Susan
amend my
good, she knows
motion.
how to sell it.
I think your motion is fine.
You think the motion's fine, okay.
All right.
If we have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
very much. John Taylor, thank you very much. South Scotland School, we've gotten a letter from, the superintendent of schools, and perhaps it may have been accompanied by a letter from their board chair, Rick Singletary, asking, if South Scotland School is no longer being used as a school. They're saying that their first mandatory option is to offer it back to the county, and we need to make a decision whether we want to take ownership of that building, and I think in doing so, we have to pay them something of value for that. What you have attached in your minutes are a couple of excerpts from meetings in August of 2020, in October of 2020, where we had conversation about it. And in at least the second one of those, there is an indication that we do not have any desire to take South Scotland. And I think we can rely on that, but I think what I'd rather do is, if that is still the feeling of this board, that we take an affirmative action to communicate to the Board of Education that we do not want to take South Scotland School.
Mr. Chairman, can I make that motion by being humorous? Beep. You know how to, we don't.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna remind the board, we made the decision not to take Johnson. And then, I don't know, 6 months later, 9 months later,
We changed.
we changed it.
But I don't think the action we took 2 years ago, we hadn't had an official request from the school board at that time. So-
No, because they weren't sure what they were going to do.
That's
My
true.
motion is that we don't take it.
We have a motion.
Second,
Wait, hang on.
You didn't beat
We're
nothing.
we're gonna get rid, we're not gonna put the beep in there.
Don't put the beep in
Yeah,
there.
your motion is that we not
Take it.
avail ourselves of the opportunity
Yes,
to take that.
Right.
I say,
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Ivey. Any conversation, any discussion? And BJ, I don't know, you weren't on the board.
I was not.
You were not, that's another reason why we need to do this. BJ, you got any comment about this at all?
No, sir.
Okay, anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. The other business on here is comments from commissioners. Any comment by anybody in particular? Tim's got something to say.
well, I don't even know if I should bring it up, but it was about that rezoning across from Johnson, the new Johnson School that the city did last month.
You heard what happened last night?
Yes, and that's because I think they're trying to throw a little of that back to us, that we were the property owner, so we were notified, not the school. and of course.
Oh,
we
because
haven't
we're the
all
property
been
owners of the
followed.
school, yeah.
I'm assuming we were, right? Yeah. But the school wasn't notified, other than somebody had talked about the grant. I don't even know if we need to even get in it, but.
It's not a pretty thing.
Right, and they voted to rehear this thing, and
I mean,
their attorney's
essentially,
telling them that they can't.
did you listen to the meeting or have you?
Yeah, no, I listened to.
You listened, okay. My report would have to be secondhand because I did not listen. I had a phone call. And I don't know if we need to talk about this or not, but I know signs were posted. I know that, they had a hearing. I mean, they've had a quasi judicial hearing for special use permit on this matter. I don't know when it was. Do you know, Tim?
Last.
The last meeting, okay. And since then, it's kind of just risen back to the top. And there was a 3-2 vote to hold another hearing with Bill Floyd, the attorney, telling them that they you can't do that, it's illegal. This has already been settled. So I think we might be wise just to stay out of it.
Yeah, I don't know what we would do.
Yeah,
The only reason I can see us getting drug into this is because they notified us instead of the school, because we are the property owner.
But Dr. LeGrand did have
She had
information.
knowledge.
She had the information that the rezoning was coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just,
And what is their position on, the school's position?
the school don't want
Concern for safety.
it. Yeah, concern for safety, because it's gonna be across the park, street from the new school, where the old mobile home states was,
And what are they gonna put there?
an RV park.
And that property is currently zoned for a mobile home park.
So they got a special use permit. They passed it last month, but now,
And it's an RV, the intent is to, have individuals that are here short-term, like a traveling nurse or a project manager for a construction site, to have a place to live while they're here for 3 months or 6 months. And the property's already, I don't think it's completely ready, but it has already been, the work has already started on getting the property ready for this venture.
because they have permits, so.
They have a
I
permit.
don't, like I said, I don't think we need to get into it really, but I mean, just kind of let everybody know that we
Yeah.
start hearing talk.
Yeah, you're gonna be here.
Because it's not in the city, but it was in their ETJ, so
It was their decision.
it was their decision, right? So,
Well, I can tell you, just saying who you gonna rent it to, when you invest money and you're not making money and you say you're gonna just have it for these people,
You already did about
well, you gonna, that ain't gonna work in this area. You don't have enough people to come up with a special group. When you renting, you find yourself renting.
As a commissioner, I don't know that we have any interest, anything to discuss. I will just make a comment as a parent. I am concerned. My children go to that school. And anybody can come in. You don't know who they are. But that's as a parent.
In other words,
Well, that's true.
pedophiles
anyway.
or what have you, can't you run a mile of a school? How you gonna screen that this person is not gonna run a background check?
no, they are, they put that as a condition on the permit, that they have to run a background check, everybody's going. But the problem with that is, the only requirement is that they run a background check.
You can't enforce it.
Well, but how, what are you looking for in a background check? What are you gonna, exclude? You know what I'm saying, so.
And then you don't know who is in there. I mean, you can't control it.
It's telling you it was his brother. So, I mean,
If I had kids,
I just don't, I shouldn't have brought it up.
Well,
That's
no,
the
because
worst
it's good to know, and I know a little bit about it. I don't know a whole lot.
One useful piece about this is it does come into the complication of a conditional use or a special use permit about this, because even if additional information comes up that would bring real concern to city council, they've already approved it, so it's in there. So special use permits for any board are, once they're there, unless the conditions of the use permit are violated, you can't revoke them.
So it's done.
Well, according to some, they're not, but the only thing I would say about it is that in the future, if we get a notice about a school, that we're still owner until they finish paying it off, or lack of a better word. that we make sure we notify the school of that, just so we cover
Cover
our,
ourselves.
yeah.
Any comments about any other topic from any commissioner? I know that we were all invited to a dinner last week and I was out of town and not able to make it. I know that several of our members did go. I'm glad they did. I heard folks, Tim and I talked a little bit about it yesterday. It was a good event, a good venue, and Carol mentioned the same thing. I'm sorry I was not able to do it. I would like to see that continue. I think communication between the boards is helpful to all of us.
Then we have another one tomorrow night with Lumber River College.
Are you going?
Yeah.
Are we leaving from here? Kevin, are you driving?
Drive.
I'm driving, no, my wife's going with me, so.
But you're gonna drive and leave from here?
I'll pick you up here.
You gonna pick me
Well,
up?
yeah, actually, I'll just come by and pick you up at your house.
Okay.
And you gonna pick me
I'll
up?
pick you up here.
What time?
You told me 5:30.
Yeah, I'll
It
pick,
starts at 5:45, well,
That's
the
pretty cool.
reception.
The reception.
Reception, yeah.
It's
I've
all on
never
the inside.
cared for
We'll
that
be-
too much, you know. But
Okay, that's a conversation y'all can have privately with
Yeah.
Kevin if y'all don't mind. Anything that need to be brought forward to this group? Appreciate everybody being here today and have a motion to adjourn till our next regular meeting.
we'll second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by BJ. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
and you each have a calendar for, schedule of